This is the No BS Coaching Advice Podcast, episode 102. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome. I like to spend some time weekly talking with you about some aspect of life, the universe, and everything. And today's show comes out of, well, it's an addiction of mine. I am a New York Giants football fan, which this season has been a hard thing to be. After all, going into last night's game, the Giants were 1-7 and not nearly as good as that record. And they won last night. Yay! Finally. And I stumbled into a short video clip of their coach speaking to the team after the game. And he said something I think it's worth remembering. Nothing in life is easy, but when you fight through it, it's that much sweeter. So often, I know we prefer the easy way, it be handed to us, and that we enjoy the pleasure of the outcome. But, sometimes battling through adversity and getting to the other side just feels great. That's a nice quote from Coach Shermer. And it's easy to look at this from the standpoint of sports. There's a winner and there's a loser. And when your team is losing a lot, it feels great to win. But the process of winning, when you've been in a losing mode for a while, when you've been experiencing adversity for a while, there's a lot of noise that starts to happen. There's noise between your ears. There's noise that other people give you who are well-meaning most of the time that are telling you maybe it's time to pack it in. Maybe it's time to give up. And it's important to start recognizing the difference between those who really care and actually have the wisdom to help you and those who, their intentions may be well-meaning but aren't very useful. Keeping the noise out and not quitting is important in sports as it is in life. Knowing when to give up on an idea that doesn't make sense to pursue is just as important and sometimes more so. A few minutes ago, I read a post on Facebook from a friend of mine in dismay because a childhood friend of his, a school safety officer, had committed suicide. And it reminded me of how precious life is. I was listening to a podcast this weekend, an interview with Cindy Crawford, which no matter what supposition you may have about people who work in modeling, Crawford is not your stereotype. First of all, she doesn't describe herself as a model. She describes herself as someone who does modeling. And she said something that was so simple and yet elegant. And as I get older, it's so true for me. There's a privilege of getting older that so often we take for granted. And as I've said before in this show, a lifetime is not a long time. We like to think of ourselves as being immortal, but life is a way of showing us how foolish we are to hold that belief. Folks, if you ever worry, if you're ever so upset with your life or circumstances to consider what this man did, I want to encourage you, don't. Please talk to someone you know and open up to them. Don't hold it in. It's the holding in that causes the pain to really fester and get pussy and disgusting and cause you to take action. Please don't. I just beg of you. So that's today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you listen to the show. Just subscribe so you get downloads whenever I release a new episode. Each show is going to be bite-sized morsels of advice just like today's. I hope you enjoyed it, and I do hope you subscribe. And if you do choose to subscribe, I hope you decide to support the show. There's a link that will take you to anchor.fm where you can make a pledge in support of the show. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you're interested in my coaching you, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the big game hunter. Mention that you listen to the show. I just happen to like knowing I'm helping some folks. And once we're connected, message me about your interest in coaching. We'll set up a free call. We'll get acquainted, see if it makes sense. I'll be back soon with more. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Take care. Time for